What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. We are presented, as always, by the fine folks over at Prize Picks. Get started today. Code HMA, $50 in lineups when you sign up to play your first $5. We got a fun show today. I'm back from vacation. Been back for a couple days, and we got Cullen's bold predictions. So bring Cullen into the show now. We started doing this last year, and we're back. So with training camp almost here, Cullen's going to go through his bold predictions. I will react to them. I have no idea what he did, and so that'll be fun. We'll see what you got in store for us this year. I think we can flash these now. You want to revisit yours from last year?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have those?
Yeah, we can flash them real quick.
If you guys want to shout out your city, let us know where you're tuning in from.
We don't run from predictions. They're not always going to be 100%, and again, they're bold predictions, but these were my predictions from last year, in case you guys were wanting to take a look. I had Caleb Williams breaking out, kind of left it open for interpretation. I do think that he improved and took a step forward under Ben Johnson. Don't know if I
think it qualifies. I think it, there's more to be had there, obviously, but I think I would give you a check mark in that column.
Next one, definitely not. Kyler Gordon leading the team in interceptions. I was high on Kyler Gordon after the comments Dennis Allen made going into this previous season. He obviously couldn't stay healthy on the field, which was a bummer, but I got wrong on that one. Rome Odunze becomes wide receiver 1. It looked like for the first month I was tracking on that, and then it kind of, brought back down to earth after he got injured. He didn't finish the season healthy. That one's also kind of, again, up for more of a debate, but it's probably
I would say no one really took that threshold, so, I can't give you a check mark there, but, that wasn't the Kyler situation where he basically didn't play all year, so, he was well on his way through a month, and then he started to slip in production a little bit, and then the injury and just kind of snowballed on him.
Poles makes a splash trade at the deadline. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka.
Who is now retired, by the way.
Now retired. He did make a trade. Splash trade is stretching it beyond belief.
Yes. Hey, they did ask about Myles Garrett.
They did ask. They did try. And then Bears sweep the Packers. They got 2 wins against the Packers last year.
Yeah, I think between that one and the Odunze one, I'll give you half a check each.
That's fine.
So 2 out of 5. Listen, bold predictions. I think if you're going 5 for 5, they probably weren't bold enough. So I think if you get 1 or 2, that's probably the sweet spot. I think you were kind of right in there. So yeah,
we don't run from predictions. We don't
excited.
run from.
Yeah, again, bold. Nothing. Doesn't have to be insane, but something little has to happen for it to happen. So we'll get to those. Should be fun.
Let us know where you're tuning in from. I got Thomas from Anthem, Arizona. We got Eric Green from Earlville. We got Nathan from Chicago. Gerald from Omaha. We've got, let's see here, Oceanside, California from Antonio Brown. I had a buddy that used to be stationed up in Oceanside. You were actually in the San Diego area recently.
Yeah, I was in San Diego. I love San Diego, man. It's such a
beautiful city.
It's beautiful. It's clean. It's not as I was talking to someone about this. It doesn't feel and I like other West Coast cities. I like San Francisco. LA's fine. I've only been there once. But, there's, a more calmness in San Francisco or in San Diego. There's less people, so that's part of it. A lot of people retire there, so I think that's part of it, too. It's just not as, chaotic for those reasons. But I really do like it, man. I will definitely be returning. I'll say that.
Fair enough. We've got Harris on a semi-truck. Shout out to you. We got Southern Missouri from Z Ganji. We got Jefferson, Iowa from Chris. East Palestine for Ohio from Liam. We've got Springfield, Illinois from Ben. Shout out to all of you guys down below.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in as always. Busy show ahead, and I know, guys, we're inching toward football. It's we've talked about it every day in the office. It's feels for whatever reason this year. It just feels. I think it's because it's further away than normal. This time last year, it's okay, next week, they're getting going. It's another week, so hang in there. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and pretty soon we'll have some real ball to talk about, so that'll be exciting. All right, thanks to Prize Picks, like I mentioned, for sponsoring today's show. I will say that the World Cup has filled that void during this time of the year. It's been awesome. They have a lot of players you can choose from, although there's only 2 games left. You got the third place game Saturday, and then the championship game on Sunday. You pick more or less on player stats available to qualify for a Prize Picks lineup. You can also get in on the team picks. You can pick who's going to get third. You can pick who's going to win the World Cup. You can take more or less on the team goals and combined goals. It's all available at your disposal. Plus, they're offering a guarantee pick, formerly known as a max discount with Prize Picks. Lionel Messi, more than half a pass. So you use that in a lineup. I added 2 more players to that lineup with Lamine Yamal. He's kind of due to make a splash, to have a splash moment. So I took more than half a goal or assist. Just need him to get in the column there either way. And then Unai Simon, the goalkeeper for Spain. I went ahead and goblined that one down. A little easier to hit, more than 1.5 saves. If we know anything about Argentina, they're going to fire some shots off. So think I'll feel confident about that one hitting. 10 to win 40. That's an example of a Prize Picks lineup. Code HMA, $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Link is in the live chat to sign up today.
Some people are referring to Argentina as the World Cup's version of the Cardiac Bears, Harry.
I have seen that. I've also seen the Knicks comp, which is probably a little more comparable because they have gotten all the way now.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, the way they win was a lot of how the Bears were winning last year. But, they just never say die. And I got to say, knowing that they've been that way the whole tournament and just given the stakes of the game and how much time was left, England just packing it in when they got up 1-0 we're just going to try to hang on for dear life. It's like you barely did that against Mexico 2 rounds ago. You're going to do that against Argentina? Like, I think that's kind of a crazy strategy. So they got burned on that one for sure. I mean, tonight even get that thing to extra time. That's brutal. So, yeah, I think that was a poor decision by their manager. But, yeah, they're never out of a game. So I think I'm going to take Argentina on the team picks, on Prize Picks, because they're an underdog, and it's like, they just unless they're down multiple goals super late, and even then we've seen them come back. Like they're never dead. So I think that's the best value. So
yeah, bottled it is the term they use over in Europe. It was very unfortunate because England has the long-standing drought of not making it to the World Cup since 1966. From an underdog perspective, I was kind of sitting there. Maybe this is the year that they kind of were at least to make the final, see what happens against Spain. But to your point, they really just once they allowed that first goal, then they got into scramble mode, and they were just sitting there, and they're not sure, what to do in that situation. It seemed like Argentina, given all the close games and all the comebacks they've had throughout this World Cup, they were more comfortable in that situation.
Well, not only that, if you're going to go heavy defensive mode, and again, I'm not like a soccer X's and O's expert, but I feel like I know enough. Like, at least against Mexico when they were doing it, and they did it while down a man, it felt like they were dialed in on the details. I mean, Argentina scored twice. Felt like they could have scored about 6 times in the last 10 minutes. I mean, they had a lot of chance. Like, Pickford made a couple of good saves. It's like, if you're going to park the bus, as they say, it just didn't feel like they were buttoned up. Like, they just got tight, and they were just kind of hoping Argentina wouldn't find the back of the net, and that did not work out. So I'll be curious to see how much motivation in that third place game is on Saturday, because I do think it depends on what teams get into that game every year, because like France and England were trying to win this thing.
They were.
Like, it'd be one like if the U.S. was they would die to play in the third place game, but France and England, we'll see how much motivation there is.
No doubt.
All right, who do you guys think will have a better year in 2026? ESPN's Courtney Cronin put out 5 players who, what's the phrase she used?
Most at stake.
Who have the most at stake in training camp, which I'd push back on a couple of the players she talked about, but 2 of them were Tyrique Stevenson and Kyler Gordon. I think they both do fit the bill on this one, although given Gordon's contract, it's not like he's going anywhere this year. But who do you guys think will have the better year this year? Do you think it'll be Kyler or Tyrique? I think we all think Kyler's the better, more consistent player, but the health concerns are obviously there. So it'll be interesting to see. The poll is pretty much dead even. 49% Tyrique Stevenson, 51% Kyler Gordon. So we'll see. If Gordon's healthy, I'll pick Gordon, but that's the big wild card on this one.
Not a given at this point. And with Tyrique Stevenson, while he has been healthy primarily throughout his NFL career so far, there's just inconsistencies. There's lapse of concentration. I think you can name a time or two where that's happened, Harry. And
yeah, and that play gets outlined, but I think just some overall maturity things. It sounds like this offseason, I know Al Harris spoke glowingly about his approach this offseason, so I think he knows what the stakes are. It's final year of a rookie deal, whether or not this team is going to pay you, if you're going to get paid somewhere, you got to play well this year. So, we'll see if he's able to lock in a starting job and put out 17 good games on tape. So there's still something in there, man. It's the old, if there's 10,000 ex-believers, I'm one of them. If there's 1,000 ex-believers, I'm one of them. If I'm the last Tyrique Stevenson believer, I guess I am, because most people have jumped off the bandwagon, but I've seen the guy make a lot of big plays. It's just, can he put it all together on a drive-to-drive, game-to-game, week-to-week, day-to-day basis? And we haven't seen that. So I'm hopeful we get that guy this year, but if not, he's going to be wearing a different uniform next year, I would imagine. So excited to see what he can do, though. Excited to see what he can do. Also excited to see Cullen's bold predictions. Before we get to all that, hit that like button. Let's get some more Bears fans in here. Support the show. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. All you got to do is tickle that thumbs up icon. Okay, so on today's show, we got 3 segments. 5 players, according to ESPN's Courtney Cronin, with the most at stake in training camp. We will dive into that. We will take some questions, so fire them in the chat. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Take your questions for about 10 or 15 minutes. If you Super Chat, it's a guarantee to get on the show. I'll probably get to most of your hashtag Bears questions as well. See a couple in there, so keep firing those away. And then Cullen's bold predictions. I will react to those here on today's show. I've not seen them yet, so excited to see him reveal those and for me to give my thoughts. So busy show ahead. Thanks for being here. Let's get it going here on Chicago Bears Now. Coming up on Chicago Bears Now, the 5 Bears players with the most at stake in training camp, according to ESPN's Courtney Cronin. My name is Harrison Graham. We will react to that here on this video. We, of course, are presented by Prize Picks. Let's start with Tyrique Stevenson. I think this one is probably the most accurate of every single player listed on Courtney Cronin's list. Let's hear what she said first, and then I'll give my reasons why. Stevenson, once again, faces competition for the number 2 cornerback spot in camp. 4th-round rookie Malik Muhammad was handpicked by defensive coordinator Dennis Allen and will push Stevenson for the role he had to fight for last season with Nashawn Wright. And the reason I agree with Courtney here is this is kind of his last chance to prove he can be not only a starter for this team this year, but potentially moving forward. I still think there's a world where Tyrique Stevenson wins this job, plays well, and earns a contract by this team to stay here for another 2, 3, 4 more years, depending on the length of that contract. But the clock is ticking. We've seen him play well. He's got to really need to put a strong camp together here this season. Cronin continued and said during the spring, Stevenson said he spoke with offensive coaches to get tips on how they would strategize to play him in coverage. I like that. He's also entering a contract year with the aim of proving to a defensive staff that did not draft him that he can fit into its long-term plans. We also heard from Al Harris earlier this offseason saying the player that arrived in the offseason program last year compared to this year is night and day, spoke about his maturation, which obviously has been an issue at times. And look, it's been up and down. I still think the highs have been very high. I think the strip fumble against Dallas last year in some ways saved the season. You were 0-2, staring down the barrel of being down 7-0 against Dallas after giving up 52 points in Detroit the week before. You go to 0-3, you're probably done. He flips that game on a dime, the season turns around. He's made some big plays. He's also had some bad lapses. And yes, the Hail Mary against the Commanders is one of them, but he's also just had other moments where he's not locked in. He's inconsistent. I know he can do it. We've seen him do it. Second half of his rookie year, he was awesome. The last couple of years, he's had stretches where he's played well, but he hasn't maintained for whatever reason. Can he put it all together in year 4? If he doesn't, he's not going to be on this team next year. So it's put up or shut up time for Tyrique Stevenson. Okay, next up is Kyler Gordon. Now, I think most at stake for him, there is a lot at stake, but given his contract, it's going to be tough to move off of him after this year. Now, if it's just a complete disaster, could they just move off him and just eat some of the dead money that they would have to pay? Yeah, that's certainly possible. They did that with Nate Davis, but that was more of an attitude problem. I think Kyler Gordon's got the right attitude. He fits in well. It's just the injuries. Can he stay healthy this year? That's the key. Cronin says that despite being under contract through 2028, Gordon arguably has the most to prove than anyone else entering a training camp. I'd push back a little, but he does have a lot to prove. The Bears made Gordon the NFL's highest paid nickel corner in April of 2025 with that 3-year, $40 million contract. Played only 5 games last season as one soft tissue injury early in camp led to others in season and an extended stint on injured reserve. His availability is under a microscope, particularly after another soft tissue injury cost him the spring offseason program. Now, here's where he is under a lot of pressure. Like, the contract is part of this. That makes it tricky if he has another weird year. But Ben Johnson is frustrated. He spoke at length this offseason, like, hey, we know he's a good player when he's out there, but we're still working on that availability part. And I think the fact that they got into the offseason program and he got injured again, I think they're like, well, I know we extended the guy, but I didn't draft this player, and I've barely even seen him since I've been here for a year and a half. So I do think the pressure is ramping up on Kyler Gordon. I don't know if it's quite make or break like a guy like Tyrique Stevenson, but he needs to show this coaching staff that he can get healthy and stay healthy. Like, I'll say this. Let's say he starts training camp healthy and gets injured again. It's like, oh, man, this is a problem. Like, it's a big, big problem. And you know, it's a shame if it ends up going down that route because a healthy Kyler Gordon changes a lot for this defense. I think he raises the floor of this team. He's such a chess piece. He can do a lot of different things. He's like the perfect nickel in today's NFL where he can play at all 3 levels of the defense. So I'm hopeful that he can be healthy. I'm not expecting 17 games. I'd probably sign up for 12 at this point, but we'll see what happens, man. I hope it works out because he brings a lot to the table when he's on the football field. So it's just about the health. Can he stay healthy? That is the key with Kyler Gordon. We know he can play ball. Who will have the better year in 2026? Will it be the player who's more healthy but more up and down as a player, or the better player but more up and down when it comes to health? Type TS for Tyrique Stevenson, KG for Kyler Gordon. Give me your thoughts down in the comments below. We'll continue here, but first we are sponsored by Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Use code HMA to get $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. How do you play Prize Picks? Well, create your account first. But then you start surfing through the players available. All sports are out there. You got the World Cup. You got baseball. You got the W for those who enjoy that as well. Season-long football stat projections are out there. You can combine sports with your picks, golf, and you take more or less on the stat projections available. And sometimes they offer you gimmies, guaranteed pick for the World Cup final. You got Lionel Messi more than half a pass. You take that, obviously. And then you pair it with at least one other player. I paired it with 2. Lamine Yamal took a little demon play, more than half a goal or an assist. He's kind of due to have a moment, so we'll see if he can deliver. And then Unai Simon, the Spain goalkeeper, more than 1.5 saves, a goblin play. 10 to win 40 on this 3-player lineup. Get started with Prize Picks today. Use code HMA to get $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. It's code HMA. $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. Okay, Braxton Jones. I think this speaks for itself, right? He's basically on a 1-year prove-it deal after having a frustrating 2025 where he never got back and fully healthy. It seemed kind of unlikely that he'd be back, but when Ozzy Trapillo suffered that serious injury in the playoffs, kind of reopened the door for Braxton to potentially return and be the left tackle this year, and he's in the front-runner seat as of now. Cronin writes that, unlike last offseason, Jones isn't off to a slow start. While still rehabbing from an ankle injury, took all the first-team reps this spring and enters camp in the lead to win the left tackle job, a competition that also features Jedrick Wills and Karan Amagaj. He didn't mention Theo Benedict, and I don't know if that's an intentional omission or if Cronin kind of knows that they just like Theo as kind of this roamer that can do different things, can play there in a pinch, but they don't really view him as a permanent left tackle. I kind of think they showed us that in the playoff game last year when they kicked Tooney out and played McFadden at guard, but I still got him mentioned here. The fact that Jones got all the first-team reps in the spring, I think that tells me, like, hey, when the pads go on, if he looks the part, sure, they're going to give these other guys, like, they're going to have their reps, but if Jones is doing well at the ones, I don't think they want a situation like last year where they didn't really have anyone emerge in training camp, and they tried 3 or 4 different guys, and Braxton won the job by default, but then got replaced quickly because he just wasn't fully healthy. If Braxton looks solid, I think they'd like to lock that spot in pretty early. So if he can come out of the gates and perform well, say through the first preseason game or so, I could see a scenario where he kind of wraps that competition up. Okay, Dio Adengbo, motivated, hopefully. Seems like he is. I mean, he got back. Even Ben Johnson was pleasantly surprised that he was ahead of schedule with the rehab and was able to participate in the end of OTA's mandatory minicamp. Courtney Cronin writes that the Bears opted against signing a marquee edge rusher in free agency or using premium draft capital on defensive end this offseason. Adengbo was expected to be that player when Chicago gave him a 3-year, $48 million deal with only 17.5 career sacks at the time before tearing his Achilles in Week 8. The way Adengbo performs in camp will either prove the Bears right in standing pat with their current edge rushers or push the front office to sign one of several still available in free agency, including Jadeveon Clowney, Von Miller, or Joey Bosa, who, of course, we've talked about all those guys ad nauseum over the last few months. The way I view Dio is, like, if he's healthy and can just be a solid rotation piece that can play inside and out, it's kind of a bonus. I'm not expecting much. I'm just hoping he's healthy and can rotate in. Like, he's not going to live up to the contract. That would be surprising at this point. And by the way, even if he's healthy, like, I don't think Dio, at least in my view, the Bears might view differently. I don't know what he can show in training camp that would prevent me, if I'm running this team, from sniffing around for another edge rusher. And why is that? Well, you're still pretty thin at the position. You would have Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, Dio Adengbo. I'm still very curious and unsure about what Shamar Turner's status is, so we don't know about that. So you've got that curveball. Daniel Hardy's not really a playable 4-3 defensive end. He's a special teamer. So to me, you still probably should go get somebody anyway. Now, maybe you go into the season, kind of see how the guys perform, and if it's ugly and there's still a guy out there, you can go add somebody. But I would still be pretty proactive there and be looking to add somebody. But, yeah, if Dio can come out and have a good camp, and if Shamar can as well, that would obviously be nice because those guys are going to play snaps. You just don't have a ton of defensive ends right now. Okay, Rome Odunze. See, this is the one where – sure, any player has a lot at stake, and he certainly has some at stake, just the way last year ended, and he's contract extension eligible after this year. So, yeah, I don't want to downplay this upcoming training camp for Rome Odunze, but it's not like if things don't go amazingly, it's just like he's just out of the mix. I mean, at worst, he's going to be your number 2 receiver this year, barring something unforeseen. Cronin says with DJ Moore gone and his targets up for grabs, Odunze has a big opportunity to establish himself as the number 1 receiver, a role he was on track for in 25 before a stress fracture in his left foot derailed his second season. Odunze's foot has healed without surgery, but whether he looks like the same explosive contested catch type of player he was before the injury will be monitored closely. And look, it caught all of our attention, certainly mine, when he was asked about the foot, and he said this is my new normal, kind of the daily rehab he has to provide to it. Now, if that allows him to play, be healthy, and be like his normal self, like, doesn't matter to me. Like, if he's if he's good putting in the extra work, that's part of the situation that he clearly signed up for, to not go the surgery route. That being said, I do think there's a pretty decent chance in a world where Luther Burden supplants Rome Odunze. And by the way, that's fine if that happens, as long as Rome is at least a solid number 2. Like, okay, well, you drafted him in the top 10. Well, you took Burden in the second round. If he performs like a top 10 pick and Rome ends up performing like a second rounder, who cares? Like, I'm not going to view that as some major disappointment. Now, where Rome does have something at stake is if he wants to be here long term, yeah, earning the number 1 job and performing this year, that's where he can really, earn his long-term status here. Because if he has a huge year, he could get paid next offseason. If not, he's probably just playing next year out. We'll see on the 5th-year option, so on and so forth. I'm still very high on Rome, but I also like the other weapons the Bears have. I don't think this offense is going to be in complete shambles if Rome is like a 700 or 800-yard guy instead of a 1,200-yard guy. They have Colston Love and they have Luther Burden, so I think it's going to be okay. Obviously, big investment made into Rome. Let's see if he can stay healthy and look like the player we saw toward the end of his rookie year and to start last year before the injury crept in. Okay, who do you guys think ends up being the wide receiver 1 this year? Do you think it's Rome or do you think it's Luther? Type RO for Rome, Dunze, LB for Luther Burden the third. I'm leaning Luther right now, but I still think that's very much up for grabs, which a lot of that will be earned throughout training camp. So excited to see that play out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you made it to the end of the video, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Shout out to Wasim. Says Bear Down FGB. Gordon equals Anthony Davis. I wouldn't go that far for a couple reasons. One, I like Kyler Gordon, but Anthony Davis is a Hall of Famer, so that's number one. And two, to be fair, yeah, he's had some minor stuff before last season, but Anthony Davis has had several seasons at this point where he's missed big chunks. It's really just 1 year. So, like, before last year, I wouldn't consider him, like, majorly injury prone. He had a couple minor issues, but we'll see. I think it's a big year for him, no question.
Wasim, if you don't mind me asking, what's your NBA team down the chat? Because I feel like maybe I'm getting you confused with somebody else, but I think he's rooting for a team that Anthony Davis has played for, which maybe is why you're making the comparison. He's obviously rooting for the Bears and Anthony Davis, but yeah, to all your points, like Anthony Davis, the caliber of player he is all time in the NBA compared to Kyler Gordon. It's night and day.
I get what he's saying, where it's like we know how big of an impact he has, but when he's not on the court or the field, that's kind of a problem. So I get what you're saying. I think AD, not having AD on the court is a bigger loss than not having Gordon, but I hear your point. You got to be available. So hopefully he will be this year. Hopefully he will be. I'm very eager to see when the veterans report to camp, are we going to get hit with a little notification of, yeah, Kyler Gordon's not ready to practice yet. If that's the case, that's going to be concerning. That's going to be concerning.
Could you do me a favor?
Yep.
Could you mind just unplugging and replugging real quick? Your mic, like, I don't know, like, I tried adjusting with the audio settings. You kept, like, popping during that segment.
Am I popping? All right, I'll pop off real quick.
Just real quick. That's all right.
Was it?
No, it's just, like, enough to where I'm like, I heard it. Maybe they hear it. Maybe they didn't hear it. I'm a jaded Bulls fan. Okay, gotcha, Wasim. I rooted for the Mavs when they made their run. Nice. Use hashtag Bears or Super. I didn't think it like ruined the show, but like I heard it enough and I like tried to mess with it, and I still was like hearing it. So, here, I'll be right back, guys. Just momentarily. Get those hashtag Bears questions in or Super Chat. Again, we don't, we're grateful for all Super Chats come in. Don't ever feel like you have to send them, but they're guaranteed to get it on the mailbag. And right now is a great time during this time of the year that if you want to get your question in during this hashtag or during this mailbag, feel free to fire away. I see a couple people in the chat. Eric Green has gotten his question in. I'm seeing Scythe Gaming. Scythe, hopefully I pronounced that right. I know sometimes I forget how to pronounce your name, but hopefully that's pronounced right. Alexander, see your question. We can get some couple more. We can get this mailbag here rolling along. So just use hashtag Bears like you see on screen.
Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Hopefully the mic is all right. Let's get a few more in there.
Cool.
Coming up in like 15, we'll get to Cullen's bold predictions. So, did you see early in Holland just launching golf balls into the ocean? That's so funny.
He is an honorary American.
I saw a tweet. It was like, we'll trade you we'll trade Norway the entire U.S. men's national team roster, something else just for Holland.
It was like, no, it was the AC. It was 10,000
AC. Oh, 10,000 AC units. Yeah, just for Erling Haaland. That's so funny.
Make it happen at USA.
Yeah.
That would be so sick. That is part of being an American, a little bit of greedy when it comes to sports. I mean, we obviously want to win everything, but like the United States, I feel like in most international competitions, they fare pretty well. Basketball, for example, they recently won the gold in hockey. We want to win everything. We want to get gold in everything.
Yeah.
Soccer.
It's not a secret why soccer isn't as popular in America. It's because we're not as good at it.
Yeah.
If we were the best in the world, we would fucking love it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how Americans think, right or wrong. So,
right.
But it does seem like this country got more into it this year, so maybe there will be some kind of trickle-down effect to, maybe more kids will play soccer, and maybe that'll, I still think it's probably more of a developmental problem. I know everybody's like, well, the best athletes don't play soccer. Well, there's some truth to that, but you still have a country of 350 million people.
Well,
you should be able to find 25 good players.
And also, too, I know part of it's the meme. It's like if Derrick Henry, growing up, played soccer, we would be unstoppable. It's like
I hate that shit. That's arrogance.
That's arrogance. It's also the fact the best soccer player in the world is a 5'8", 160-pounder who, if he tried to play any of the four major sports, would not even make. Yeah. I don't even know if he'd make a collegiate team.
No,
in any of the four.
No,
and he's the greatest soccer player, arguably, to ever live.
Yeah, it's a skill development issue.
Yes.
We're not skilled enough. You watch these teams, it's like they're just way more under control, better touch. They control passes better, which in the upper third is critical to lead to better shots. It's just
I mean, these kids in Europe, whenever they get started in soccer, I mean, they're from a very young age entered into academies where they spend a lot of their childhood.
Yep.
So Cool. All right, we are starting to get some more questions in. Again, keep firing those in. Even if the mailbag's already started, you could still get your hashtag Bears questions in.
Get a few more in there. We appreciate it. Yeah, the only thing about the British Open is it starts at like 4 a.m. every day. Kind of rough.
You're saying that as a man that does get up early.
Well,
you do get up. I feel like one of the earliest in the office.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. It really just depends on how well my 3-year-old sleeps, which actually is pretty good right now. So, it's going to change in a couple months. Having 2 of them, that just adds to the equation. So, we'll see how that goes. But no, he's been sleeping well. So,
how is Hannah doing, by the way? Hopefully, she's doing well.
She's good. Everything looks good per her last appointment. So. She's kind of getting closer. We got to start getting the house ready a little bit. All that stuff is so different the second time because like the first time it's like you do the full nursery and all that, but now it's like we're trying to figure out all right, what bedroom makes the most sense and like do we do a full bed? It's a mess. But.
At least you have the knowledge of the first time to help you out this time.
Yeah. Oh, all that stuff will be fine, but it's more of just like the Tetris of the house. Like, how do we want to? Because we don't want to move. Because this is probably boring everybody, but like the way my house is set up is we have like our room and then PJ's room. My 3-year-old is right next to us, and then like there's 2 bedrooms on the other wing. One of those has become my like office at home filming setup. And then the other room is like the main guest room. It's like, well, we don't want to change my office, but we also don't want to fully give up the guest room. So I think the guest room is going to be like a hybrid guest room, like crib, baby setup type thing. So we'll see. First world problems. If you have kids, you probably know. Unless you're living in a mansion, then you're good to go. All right. Let's get to this mailbag, and then we'll get to Cullen's bold predictions. It's all coming up here on Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham, back with another Chicago Bears Now mailbag. We are presented by Prize Picks. Ooh, I like this guy. Caleb over Jaden. He says, if you could trade for any player to add to this team, who would it be? It's a good question. I think I pretty confidently have an answer. I think the answer is Will Anderson Jr. I know he's just signed a $50 million per year contract, but he's a 24-year-old top 3 edge rusher in the NFL. That seems like a pretty easy answer. It's why I pushed so hard for Micah last offseason, because you add a premium pass rusher to this team, then you don't really have any weaknesses. Like, you got the dude on your defensive line, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, Montez Sweat is your second guy. That's pretty fucking good. You got good enough linebacker play, and your secondary, when healthy, is really good. And then we saw last year how good the offense is and can continue to grow. So, yeah, I think I would just choose Will Anderson Jr. Long term, you'd obviously have to move off a couple different players because of the money he makes. But, yeah, if you could add a young stud edge rusher to have for the next 5 to 10 years, that's the guy I would pick. If you could trade for any player, who would it be? Drop his name down in the comments of this video and let me know. All right, we got Eric Green. If Burden and Loveland break out and are the clear top 2 options for Caleb this year, do you think the Bears will pick up Rome's 5th-year option? A lot of money for a potential 3rd option. Well, it really all these things depend. How does Rome perform this year? Does he stay healthy? To your point, how do Burden and Loveland look? What's the production for all these guys? I think Rome would have to have a pretty bad year to not at least get the option picked up. Like, he's gone for 660 or more in his first 2 years. I think if he's at least 750, 800 yards this year, that's probably not getting you an extension next offseason, but I think that probably gets you your 5th-year option picked up. Now, I'd have to see what the 5th-year option for receivers is going to be next year. I think some of that's dependent on, like, awards too, so I'd have to go look at that. But if it's not egregious and he at least takes another step forward, even if he's not the top option, I still think the 5th-year option is probably going to be something they would do. But we'll see. I think a lot of factors are at play, most notably, how does he look coming off this foot injury? All right, we got Chris Aldridge, #Bears. What free agent do you think we might sign? I mean, I continue to name the usual suspects, Jadeveon Clowney, Von Miller. Adam Schefter seems to think if the Niners don't sign Joey Bosa, he's going to retire. We'll see. I'd be interested in him. I think one sneaky thing is, like, could they bring in a nickel corner? Like, if Kyler Gordon gets banged up in training camp or just isn't healthy, like, would they bring in a guy like Kenny Moore? What's his price tag? So I think that's a position to keep an eye on. But, yeah, I would think adding another defensive lineman of some sort would be something that is at least a possibility for Ryan Poles and his staff. But I think they want to get to camp and see what it all looks like first. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And if you want to support the show even more, get going with our sponsor, Prize Picks. The best daily fantasy sports pick app that exists out there is Prize Picks. I've been playing for years. They've been a proud sponsor of the show. We greatly appreciate them. You pick more or less on player stats available. 2 or more players in a lineup qualifies for a lineup, and if you hit, you win money. It's as simple as that. Team picks are now available in most states with Prize Picks as well. You can also put one team pick in your Prize Picks player picks lineup. You can pick who's going to win the World Cup final. You can pick, if the Bears are going to win or lose week 1. All kinds of stuff available for you in that regard as well. It's a lot of fun. It's the best place to make money while watching sports. I've got a season-long Prize Picks lineup for football season, by the way, that I feel good about. Just fired this one off about a week ago. Justin Jefferson, even with horrendous QB play produced last year, I love more than 1,149.5 receiving yards for him. I think Justin Herbert kind of gets re-unleashed this year. They kind of went to that Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, pound the rock. I think with Mike McDaniel, they'll run it, but they're going to let him sling it more, I think, in LA. I think he crushes 3,600 passing yards. And then Caleb Williams, demon play to crack 4,000 yards. I think it happens. I think this is the year the curse ends. So I'm in on that. 20 to win 155 on this 3-player lineup. Get started with Prize Picks today. Code HMA gets you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. All right, we got Scythe Gaming. Assuming Booker has a breakout season, do you think Montez Sweat becomes a trade candidate this next offseason? If so, what do you think his value would be? I do think Sweat's a guy. It could be a candidate for that. Just it'll be the last year of his deal. He'll be 30 years old. But you're still, even if Booker breaks out, you're still not in a great spot at the position. I mean, unless Dio surprises us and has a great year, he's probably getting cut after this year. Shamar Turner's a complete unknown, and that's your group right now. So I've kind of come back around on Montez Sweat. I've always mostly liked him. He obviously had a disappointing 2024, but you see how much the edge contract market has exploded. For what he provides at $25 million per year, I'm probably keeping him through next year, even if he plateaus a bit, just because let's say even Booker surpasses him. Well, be nice to have two good edge rushers together for a couple of years here. So, I'm not sprinting to extend Montez after this season unless he has an awesome year, but I'm not sprinting to trade him either unless some team is willing to give me at least a second-round pick. And for a 30-year-old Montez Sweat, that's probably not likely. So my guess is he's on this team through next season unless something weird happens this year. Alexander Torres, would you keep Kyle as a possible RB1 after DeAndre Swift leaves or retires? Well, you're going to keep him. Whether or not he'd be your RB1, that remains to be seen. I don't know if he has enough high-level talent to be a lead back. Could he be a number one in a 1-2 punch? Sure. Maybe that even happens this year. Maybe he surpasses DeAndre Swift. I doubt it. I think DeAndre kind of had an underrated season last year. I would guess it's similar to last year where it's kind of a 60-40 split with Swift as the lead runner and, ride the hot hand. If Monungai's having a better game, he'll get more touches. But I think the role he's in now is kind of the role I envision him being in for a while, where he can handle a lot of carries. If the starter is out, can he be the lead back for games for short stretches? Sure, but ideally he's a number two in a rotation, and I think he's a damn good one. But I don't think you want him as your 17-game RB1 if you can avoid that. If you do, you probably have one of the lesser running back rooms in the NFL, and that's not a shot at Kyle Monungai. He's 7th-round pick. He's already surpassed what he should produce, but I just don't see elite talent there. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a lead 3-down back in this league. All right, subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you videos every single day. Watch parties. We're getting close, baby. Less than a month from the preseason opener. Can't wait for that. We got more content coming your way as well. So subscribe, turn on notifications. We got you guys locked in here on the channel. Patrick Miller, what position battle, offense, defense are you most excited for? Oh, that's a good question. That I'm most excited for. I'm very curious to see, and I don't know if this will actually even be answered in camp because they're all going to be starters. I think we'll just have to wait and see how the season plays out. I'm curious to see if a clear number one receiving target emerges. Or is it kind of just week to week it could change, right? Which is kind of what it ended up being last year. But when we get to week 10, is it going to be clear that Rome Odunze's Caleb Williams' favorite target? Colston Loveland, Luther Burden? Ideally they all eat and they're all just very productive, even if none of them put up true number one numbers. Maybe they're all number two type of producers, and defenses have to stay balanced. But I'm eager about that. I'm also eager to see who's that third receiver. Is that also kind of a rotation deal depending on the game and the opponent? Is it Khalif Raymond? I'm eager about that. And then the last thing I'll say, obviously left tackle, but I think that's going to be Braxton. Does Logan Jones push Garrett Bradbury out of that center job, or is that not really a competition? I'm curious to see what that looks like as well. I could mention a few more, Tyrique Stevenson, Malik Muhammad, and so forth, but those are a few that catch my attention. All right, we got Lizard King. Appreciate the $5 super chat. If Caleb can silence the haters by upping his completion percentage to 65%, how many more points per game on average do you think that would add? Well, see, there's context to all of this. There's a world where he completes more passes, but the explosives go down. I think that's where you want to thread the needle because Ben Johnson, he wants to hunt explosives. So, I'd much rather Caleb be 63, 62%, but the explosive play rate continues to be among the highest in the league, then, he's now up at 66%, but, it's a lot of dump-offs to the backs and the tight ends and stuff. Sure, he should take more of those, but I still think you want to hunt big plays often enough, especially when you can keep the turnovers down like Caleb has. So, if he gets up to 65% and they're still just as explosive, then that's probably an MVP candidate if that happens, realistically. I mean, I don't think that's crazy to say. So, that's the ultimate goal is increase accuracy exponentially and continue to stay as explosive as they are. So we'll see if that big of a jump comes this year. I think it's probably more in that like 62 to 63% range would be my guess. And listen, if you get to 63, that's a 5% jump. If they're still explosive, I would live with that number this year. Okay, the Bears' most improved player will be blank. Fill in the blank for us down in the comments. What do you guys think? Most improved player this season. Who do you think it's going to be? All right, Bum of Wall Street. Would you rather win one Super Bowl and never make it to the playoffs again with Caleb, or make it to the NFC Championship every year but never win a Super Bowl? Oh, I'll take the Super Bowl. It would suck after that, but like the Bears haven't won a Super Bowl in over 40 years. So, like, especially you lifelong, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, like some of you guys, have never seen it, but the ones who haven't seen it since the 80s, I think you would all take the Super Bowl. Now, if you're asking me what I thought this was going to read, would you take a Super Bowl but never make the playoffs again, or no guarantee of a Super Bowl, but you're at least in the NFC Championship every year with the chance to win one? I think I would take the latter there, because I would trust that a Ben Johnson coach team, a Caleb Williams-led quarterback team would eventually break through and maybe win multiple in that scenario. But, I think when you're a franchise who hasn't, finished the deal in a long time, I think you would take the Super Bowl every time. All right, last one here from Sandman. What exactly is Gordon's soft tissue injury? Well, we don't know what it was this offseason because they don't have to tell us. There's no injury report in the offseason. Brad Biggs reported it was a soft tissue. That could be a hamstring. That could be a groin. That could be a calf. So we don't know for sure. It could be a thigh. Maybe we'll get more clarity on that, but we just know, at least if the report is accurate, that it's some sort of a soft tissue injury, which he dealt with all of those body part issues last year. So not ideal. Not ideal. And the thing with soft tissue is, these other body parts start to overcompensate, and then those become vulnerable as well. That's why there's such concerning injuries when you start to get them. So, to see it pop up again this offseason is not a great sign. All right, guys, appreciate all the mailbag questions here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Follow me on social media at HGrahamNFL on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/HGrahamNFL. You can find me on all of those platforms. And as always, you can bear down. Look who is back. The man, the myth, the legend. It's EDOV333, 59 days away. I don't know if you've messaged me, EDOV, but I messaged you a while back. I know when you were dealing with some stuff. And so I hope everything's been going well. I'll check my DMs to see if you got back to me recently. I admittedly have some more to catch on, although I did do a sweep recently, so I didn't see that you messaged me, but maybe you did. Show EDOV some love in the chat. One of the legends here at Bears Now. He's ready for another season. 59 days away. Let's go.
I still remember, his first super chat was calling the interception against the Tennessee Titans.
The Tyrique Stevenson one?
Was it?
I think it was the flip, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was the flip.
The Will Levis?
Yep. He called that, and he's been here ever since. Obviously, like Harry said, hopefully your health, you're doing well there, EDOV, and happy to see you back, man.
Happy to see you back. Donation completely unnecessary, but of course we appreciate it, and we hope you're with us this season so we can celebrate some wins together. That'd be a lot of fun. So hopefully you're doing well, my guy. Hopefully you're doing well. All right, most improved. Did we get any comments on this?
I was looking. I didn't see anything.
Is there anyone that stands out to you on who will be the most improved?
Austin Booker feels like an obvious candidate.
Yeah,
with the
especially with how he finished too.
Yeah.
It feels like he's on that trajectory.
Feels like
there's a world where it's the quarterback, and if it is,
sure,
you're a Super Bowl contender. If he's your most improved player after already raising the floor last year, I think you're in a good spot. I don't know if he'll be literally the most improved. Someone says Luther Burden. Yeah, I mean, by the end of last year, he felt like maybe your most dangerous playmaker, maybe not your best. I think right now, if I had to pick one playmaker I trust the most, it's Loveland. But I think Luther has so much freaking potential, and we saw that down the stretch at times. Someone says Stevenson might surprise us. He comes to mind. Like, the thing with Tyrique is, like, what's frustrating about him is like, it's not like we're in year 4 and it's like we're still waiting for him to show something. Like, we've seen it. Like, it's not like he's never played well. It's just he hasn't been able to do it for extended stretches. So, like, if he does it for a full season, it's like, that's a high-level starter. Like, that's on the table, but clock's ticking. Joe Thuney. If Joe Thuney's the most improved player on this team, he might be the greatest offensive guard of all time.
That'd be unbelievable.
Because he's already, by the way,
that'd be
5th on that survey. That's kind of brutal.
Wasn't he All-Pro?
He was Protector of the Year.
Yeah, Protector of the Year, yeah. Yeah.
I get he's older, so that's probably part of it, but he's still just...
It's not perfect.
He's a guy, like, if you just saw him, you'd be like... And then, like, if you knew nothing about him, and someone was like, yeah, that guy right there has been, like, All-Pro, like, 6 times. He's won 4 Super Bowls, and he's, like, the best offensive guard of his generation. Like, if you just saw him, like, in street clothes, you'd be like, really? Like, yeah, he's a big guy, but it's not like he's not imposing. But he is just so... I think he's the most technically sound guard of the 21st century. Like, he just does not make mistakes with his with his technical skills.
Edov with the message is still battling over here, not giving up. Shout out to you. Glad to be able to catch a live for the first time in a while. I'll DM you soon. Sorry, been in and out.
Oh, dude, do not apologize. Yes. I'll be honest. When I hadn't heard back, I was just like, man, I just hope he's all right. There was no other way for me to reach out. So I'm just glad you're able to tune in and, you know, keep us somewhat informed. Obviously, that's all your private information, but hang in there, man. I'm a DM away, as they say. So. You've been a big supporter of this show, so I appreciate it.
Likewise.
Okay. Well, you ready?
It's about that time.
We got Cullen's bold predictions. See Breeze himself. I have no idea what they are, but I'm going to react to them coming up next. Everybody loves bold predictions, and I certainly do as well, and that's what we're doing here on Chicago Bears Now, presented by Prize Picks. My name is Harrison Graham, but they're not my bold predictions. They are Cullen Brown's, the producer here at Bears Now, his bold predictions. We did this last year just as kind of a fun segment, and you guys loved it, so we're running it back. So, Cullen, welcome in. I have not seen your bold predictions for this year. We're going to react one by one. Let's revisit last year's bold predictions for you and how those kind of panned out.
Yeah, we can just kind of run through them quickly here. Don't have to spend too much time on it. But I had Caleb Williams breaking out here. In terms of, you know, the level of breaking out, you could have argued he could have had maybe a bigger breakout, but I still think he took a step forward, especially under Ben Johnson.
I'm giving you a check mark there. I mean, he set the franchise record in passing yards. Would have hit 4,000 had they caught a couple more passes. NFL record in comeback victories. Like, wasn't perfect, but I think that qualifies for sure.
Appreciate that. This next one, not so much. I bet on Kyler Gordon last year after the comments Dennis Allen made going into last season. I thought he would lead the team in interceptions. That was not the case. He was not healthy enough last year to even qualify for this, to be honest.
Yeah, when you're hurt, it's going to be tough to lead the team in picks, but can't predict that. The next one's kind of half a check mark. I think he was well on his way.
Debatable.
Little inconsistent play. Then the injury popped in. You know, can't give you a full check there, but you know, it's not like that was trending in the like you were way off or anything like that with Rome Odunze.
Yeah, thought he could become the wide receiver one. First month of the year, looked like we were on pace. We were tracking really well, and again, just couldn't quite stay healthy with the foot injury, and you know, kind of trailed off towards the end of the year. Shout out to Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Not quite a splash trade, but Poles did make a trade at the deadline. So I checked in on Myles Garrett. Ultimately, was not meant to be, but yeah, I can't get myself a check on that one. And then the Bears sweeping the Packers. They got 2 wins last year against Green Bay.
2 out of 3. I think we talked about this pre-show. I think half a check for the Odunze and Packers one. We'll add that up. So 2 out of 5. You get a full check for the Caleb breakout. Rome, half a check for Bears sweeping the Packers because they did win 2 out of 3. And so, hey, these are bold predictions. If you're going 5 for 5, they probably weren't bold enough. So we're going to get into Cullen's bold predictions this year, but why don't you sound off first? What is your number one bold prediction for the Chicago Bears here in 2026? It could be win-loss record. It could be player-centric. Anything you have in mind, fire it in the comments. All right, Cullen, what do you got for us first?
We're going to kind of, warm it up in terms of the level of bold predictions. Start off with one that it's probably going to happen, even if Caleb Williams doesn't even take a major step forward. If he plays even at a similar level like he did last year, but it's a storyline because it hasn't happened yet. Caleb Williams passes for more than 4,000 yards this season.
Yeah, I think in most situations you wouldn't consider this bold, but considering it still has not happened for this franchise, I think it's bold enough. Very close last year. Obviously, the Bears led the league in dropped yardage. They were third in total drops. So, even to your point, like with Caleb's inconsistent accuracy, if they just caught a handful more of passes, they would have done it last year. Hell, that one Olamide Zaccheaus crosser where they were backed up and he could still be running, that would have done the trick. But yeah, it feels like it's time. He's very durable. He will likely play all 17 games. He's proven to stay healthy. If he does, I'm with you. I think 4,000's in the cards.
Yeah, and it seems like he's got the right head on his shoulders. Ben Johnson had this to say earlier this offseason when talking about QB1. He said he's been very receptive to all the coaching points. So there's things that he looks to apply the next time we go to practice, and he does a really good job of taking it. I think you can tell him something one time, and when he sees it on tape, he carries it on over to whether it's practice or the game. That showed up last year, and that continues to show up here this spring. So the more our minds kind of think the same, I think the better off we are in the long run. He's acting like a, quarterback, right? Like a franchise quarterback should. And I think with Caleb, it's one of those things where the consistency is something that you always hope with quarterbacks. He's got that. And in terms of just translating that to the completion percentage, we talked about it on our live show that we're currently filming this on Thursday. If he is just somebody that even gets to 62, 63%, he doesn't have to be one of these high 60 or even 70% guys to still be effective. But that being said, to take that next step into potential elite status, I do think he does have to improve that aspect of the game, but I'd expect more of a comfortable Caleb Williams this season. Last year, he was coming off a year in which he had two different offensive play callers his first year. His head coach gets fired in the middle of the season, a lot of turmoil in his rookie year. He then turns it over to Ben Johnson, where in some ways he had to relearn kind of the process that he had learned his rookie year, and so naturally kind of caught on a little bit. I think as the season got on, you saw more confidence and everything. This year, I'm expecting from the get-go him to be firing more on all cylinders.
Yeah, there should just be a more natural progression of sure, early on in camp, you're going to have to get back into the swing of things, but they couldn't even break the huddle half the time last year. Right. He was having to, call out real plays for the first time in his life, get under center, teaching how to play modern NFL quarterback. And he said on the Kelsey Brothers podcast, it wasn't until that second Vikings game that he felt comfortable with the offense itself. So now that most of that should be out of the way, sure, they'll add new wrinkles and it's not going to be perfect pre-snap every play. It never is. But that stuff just being kind of eliminated from the growing process now should just naturally be a more crisper start from week one on throughout the season. So I'm completely in agreement there. All right, Cullen's got 4 more bold predictions we get into, but first we got to shout out our friends over at Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. You pick more or less when you're setting your Prize Picks lineups of 2 or more players and their stat projections. You're talking passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards if you want to go down the football route. Baseball, you got hits, home runs, RBIs. The World Cup, you got goals, assists, goalie saves. You can get in on team picks too. You got the World Cup final coming up. If you want to make a pick, go do it with Prize Picks. And if you want to set a Prize Picks lineup, you got a guaranteed pick as well. Lionel Messi, more than half a pass. You pair that with at least one other player, you qualify for a lineup. I got Lamine Yamal to either score or get an assist. Demon play there. I like that. He's kind of due for a splash. And then Unai Simon, the Spain goalkeeper, more than 1.5 saves. $10 entry to win $40. Get started with our friends over at Prize Picks today. Use code HMA to get $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. Link is in the comments and description to sign up today.
Alrighty, getting into bold prediction number 2. I got to ride with one of my draft crushes. Again, second year in a row that Ryan Poles has drafted one of mine in Logan Jones, who I didn't know necessarily if the Bears, which direction they were going to go at center. And the fact that they took Logan Jones as high as they did, I think they have a plan for him. And based on just the initial thoughts of what we've heard this offseason from Ben Johnson, but overall just my thoughts on Logan Jones, I think he's going to start the most games at center over Garrett Bradbury. Now, I do think that whenever you're getting in to a team as a rookie where you did trade for Garrett Bradbury, it's not like he's just going to walk in and immediately take the starting job away from Bradbury. That being said, Logan Jones was very productive in his final season with the Iowa Hawkeyes. You see the grades from PFF on screen. I really think that if he can really improve his anchor in pass protection, he's going to be the complete tool for a Ben Johnson offense. And this is no slight at Garrett Bradbury, who he's been in the league a long time, had some up years, had some down years, and I think he was just okay for the Patriots this past season. I think the upside, though, is with Logan Jones, in my opinion, Harry.
Yeah, I like the way the Bears approach center this offseason. Look, you get hit with the curveball, Drew Dalman retires. That sucks, but they were very proactive. Hey, let's go get Garrett Bradbury. He is he's a serviceable starter, like especially when you put him in between Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson. But Logan Jones, clearly, you take him in the top 65 picks, like that's your long-term answer. The question is how quickly does he become the starter? Ben Johnson said this about Logan Jones earlier this offseason. He says he's extremely impressed by his football knowledge makeup. He's very mature. We aren't getting a rookie. We're getting more of a seasoned player, which isn't uncommon for Iowa linemen. The ball is in his court on how quickly he can play. We're looking to create competition. That, to me, Colin, is they kind of expect him to, at minimum, push Bradbury like hard at training camp. Now, I think he's going to have to take the job. If all things are equal, they'll probably give Bradbury the nod, at least at first. But there's a world he wins this job week one. And, the flip side of that argument could be, well, if it's close, yeah, there might be a few weeks of growing pains. But, like, do you get to your long-term now? Like, I don't think that's, like, that crazy of a thought either. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
The number one thing that I took away from that quote is the intelligence part that he complimented Logan Jones on.
He's not a rookie, he said.
Exactly. Like, Ben Johnson and, people around the NFL, they love smart football players. It creates a level of trust that you can operate whenever you have guys that you know that are intelligent situations that can, figure things on the fly, such as, sometimes centers have to do in the National Football League. And I do think that Jones will prove the future is closer than we think. There is a world where maybe Logan Jones overtakes that center position quicker than we think, whether that's to begin the season or whether that's kind of, to a point where, Bradbury's filling in an adequate job. But I know how Ben Johnson last year, they drafted Ozzie Trapillo in the second round. They kind of, slowballed that in terms of getting Trapillo out there. So maybe they do the same thing with Logan Jones. However, I do think sooner rather than later, I'm going to take Logan Jones to be this team's starting center at the end of 2026, if not very soon.
I don't hate it. I mean, he started 51 games at Iowa, a school that pumps out NFL offensive linemen. So, and his physical comp is basically Drew Dalman. I mean, we were making that comp earlier this offseason. Just a matter. To me, it's really like, do they trust him to make the calls? Like, if he can do that, they're going to put him out there. If he's not ready yet, Bradbury's going to start. I think if he gets the intelligence part very quickly, which Ben Johnson's already saying he's very intelligent, I think he's got a pretty good chance to get out there sooner rather than later.
Trending upwards, as some would say.
All right, number 3.
Kobe Bryant, one of the Bears' offseason's additions in free agency. I think he sets a new career high when it comes for interceptions. And I think whenever he initially signed in free agency, we were live on the show whenever it happened. And I remember my reaction to it because I've obviously watched Kobe Bryant play his entire NFL career. He's been very productive. He has the versatility that Dennis Allen kind of looks for in his defensive backs. And I think the direction that they were trending in going into next season. And he is going to be a factor on that back seven for Dennis Allen, for this team going into 2026 and beyond. And just to kind of give you a brief overlay of his production the past 2 years, he's been a very productive player 5 tackles for loss, 7 interceptions, 13 pass breakups. Like, he has a nose for the football. And, I kind of went back and looked because I was kind of curious when I saw that he had 7 interceptions this past season, where that ranked amongst NFL players since, in that 2-year stretch. He's actually in the top 10. He's tied for 10th with, I think, 3 or 4 other players. You could see the list on screen with some of the notable guys. I mean, you see guys like, shout out to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Derek Stingley, Xavier McKinney, some of the elite names in this game, some of the really high-level safeties. That's the kind of player you're getting with Kobe Bryant, a ball hawk.
And those are his first 2 years playing the safety position. I think you also have to factor in, too, he's joining a defense with Al Harris as the DB's coach. Al Harris, over the last 5 years, has led his coach teams have led the NFL in interceptions.
Yes.
Like, it's not a fluke at this point. Like, the DBs he coaches take the football away. Kevin Byard had a huge resurgence last year. I think Al Harris being here is, I don't want to take anything away from Byard, but I don't think that's a coincidence, right? So, Yeah, I think Kobe Bryant, with the way Dennis Allen's going to deploy him, he's going to have a chance to get hands on a lot of footballs this year.
But it's not just about what the Chicago Bears did. May have heard this, but the Minnesota Vikings have a new quarterback this upcoming season that seems like he's on track to be the starter in Minnesota. Yep. That is one Kyler Murray, who, if you are not aware, played with the Arizona Cardinals to start out his NFL career. And he and Kobe Bryant have a little bit of a history. In fact, the last 3 matchups in which Kyler Murray has started for the Arizona Cardinals and Kobe Bryant for the Seattle Seahawks, Kobe Bryant's intercepted Murray each one of those 3 games.
So you're saying he's already at 2 picks.
Exactly. I mean, you're basically, in terms of setting career high at 5, you're already at 2.
Hashtag math.
Exactly. The people are talking is what we're saying. And I went back because I was kind of curious with that being just kind of an underlying storyline. He went on the Kay Adams show up in Adams earlier this offseason, and he talked about facing Kyler Murray now that he's obviously in Chicago. He talked about meeting Caleb Williams, all this, that, and the other. And this is the quote that he had on facing Kyler Murray specifically. "I'm pretty excited. I know that's a testament that he likes to, challenge me, which I'm up for the challenge. And it just so happens that it goes into my favor the last couple of years." And he was obviously very respectful of Kyler as a player. But I do think, this level of playmaking skills in the secondary is only going to be beneficial for Chicago. And, all jokes aside with the Kyler Murray stuff, to me, Dylan Thieneman is going to be a hell of a football player whenever he truly gets established in the National Football League. But I think Dylan Thieneman is going to be relying on a lot of what Kobe Bryant has done in the National Football League in terms of the experience. We'll see what happens with the cornerback position. I'm expecting Jalen Johnson to have a bounce back here. We'll see if Kyler Gordon's able to stay healthy. Tyrique Stevenson, Malik Muhammad. There's so many playmakers in the secondary. But in a way, the one I kind of trust the most for Chicago is one that wasn't on the roster last year in Kobe Bryant. So,
yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited to see him and Thieneman play together and Thieneman come along under Kobe Bryant's leadership. Sounds like he's taken on a pretty big role in that aspect as well already. So very, very excited about that. All right, a couple more coming your way from Cullen's Bears bold predictions for 2026. But lock us in. We're bringing you content every single day. We go live every Monday and Thursday. We'll go live every game day as well, just like we have the last 7 years or whatever it is now. So subscribe to the channel. We got you guys covered.
No doubt about it. Xavier Thomas.
Ooh, Bears fans will love this one.
He will get multiple return touchdowns on special teams. Could it be a combination of punt returns, kick returns? Absolutely. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they deploy him on the offensive side of the ball. Do they maybe have him take snaps at running back? What will he be used in terms of pre-snap motion? How many snaps will he get at wide receiver? To me, Xavier Thomas is somebody that you highlighted in a video, Harry, when you kind of broke down this Xavier Thomas overall draft pick, but his skill set. He has got the makings of being an elite return man in the National Football League. Blazing speed, change of direction. He's got those running back skills as a ball carrier. So the moment he gets the ball in his hands, he's got the vision to be able to find the crease and take it to the house. And as we mentioned, a proven kick and punt returner, which we can show those stats here in just a moment. To me, it just makes too much sense that while, yes, they're going to try to get him as many touches as humanly possible in terms of just trying to get the ball in his hands and see what he can do, the return aspect of his game is going to be what really makes his stamp on this team for 2026.
Yeah, I think that's how he can make an instant impact. the question is, can he earn this coaching staff and Richard Hightower's trust right away to be both the kick and punt returner? Because they brought in Khalif Raymond. He's been doing that for a long time. My guess is you'll see Thomas on kick return from day one. The question is, do they put him out there as the punt returner from day one? I think he can handle that. They might ease him into that and trust Raymond more. Chicago is one of the tougher cities to be a returner in because it is so windy. But he's a much more natural ball tracker than like Velus Jones was, for example. And, something that you heard a lot out of the offseason program is how good his hands are, not only as a returner, but like as a receiver too. So he's got natural hands as a burner type. So I'm excited about that. Richard Hightower also said this. He's got the right mindset. He's eager to be great. One of his first questions was, why, coach, do most rookies not succeed in the NFL? What holds people back? So that told me right there about his mindset. I like that a lot as well. It's like, hey, sometimes you ask about, you ask a question like, what do you, I get asked this all the time about people I'm interviewing for Chat Sports if they're trying to get a job here. They'll ask, hey, how do people become really good at their jobs there? I actually like the opposite question too. It's like, how do people fail so I don't do that? Yeah. I think that's a smart approach as well. So, I think you would think early on he's going to get a lot of special teams opportunities. We'll see kind of what the role ends up being offensively in 2026.
Yeah, had multiple return touchdowns in college. I think he's got all the chops for it. I think as a rookie, he's going to make an impact on the return game, which, given Devin Duvernay was your returner last year, I think will be a nice change of pace for Chicago.
Yeah, and look, I do think I don't want to bury Duvernay because I thought as the year went on, he was better. But there were probably 5 or 6 returns where it's like, man, if he had a little more juice, that could have been a house call.
Won't be the case with this kid.
Another Devin would have taken that to the house.
Yes.
That's all I'll say.
Exactly.
That'd be one Devin Hester. If he could be someone like that, that'd be lovely. Speaking of love, how about Loveland?
Hits 1,000 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. I think he is this team's
That's
number
an
one
all-pro if that happens.
Yes. I think he is going to have – I wanted to outline this because – or in terms of the actual numbers – I think he's going to solidify himself as a top 5 tight end in the National Football League. And it really was a tale of 2 parts of his rookie season. The first part of the year where, yes, you see the 6 games in 8 weeks. One of those was a bye week, and then he missed the Raiders game, I want to say.
Yeah, he got dinged up for a game.
So to start off the year, wasn't as productive as you would like somebody who was drafted as highly as he was in the first round. But then once that Cincinnati Bengals game happened and he really kind of found his footing with Caleb in the offense, it was, he was a different player compared to what he was to begin the year. And I remember the conversation was like, did the Bears make a mistake with Tyler Warren and the hot start that he got off to last year? He really seemed to build on the confidence of that Cincinnati Bengals game as the year went on. And it carried over not only to the second half of the year, but also the postseason. And these numbers, the main number that I see from the screen, obviously 193 yards in 2 playoff games, especially as a rookie, is nothing to scoff at, especially 16.1 yards per catch, 25 targets in 2 games.
Caleb peppered him in the playoffs, and Caleb missed a few throws too, certainly, when targeting him. But I think what stood out to me with Loveland and Burden is that, they clearly got a lot better as the year went on. A lot of rookies hit like a wall and kind of slow down. They were kind of the opposite. Now, I think some of that was by design. Like, hey, we're going to ease these guys along. We're not going to put too much on their plate early. They got to earn their stripes on this team. But we saw Luther Burden on a Monday night game in a high-profile game be the best player on the field against the 49ers, and then we saw Colson Loveland as a rookie be the best player in a playoff game. So I think both these guys, and I would agree, I would lean Loveland a little more in terms of who I would trust to really have that monster breakout year 2, but I think both can and have a good chance of doing so. There's nothing Loveland can't do as a tight end. Right. Sure, he can continue to improve, but he's already at least an adequate blocker, if not above average. He's got the frame to continue to improve there. And maybe 2 or 3 other guys you would take as a receiving tight end over him at most right now? Maybe Bowers and McBride and maybe a healthy Kittle. But that's kind of where the list stops for me. He's already that dynamic.
He'll have that production, and we showed you just there on screen. The Bears now, in terms of their trio of pass catchers, obviously trading away DJ Moore. It's Loveland, it's Burden, it's Roma Dunze. Each one of them, I think, is going to take an uptick in numbers based on the fact that DJ Moore is no longer there. You expect Caleb Williams to take a step forward. Therefore, them being the three main options in the passing attack, their numbers are going to go up. I'll say this right now. I think Colston Loveland will solidify himself as a top 5 tight end with the numbers that I previously talked about. But also, too, I think he is, you talked about it, will this be, 1 week is it a Burden week, 1 week is it a Roma Dunze week, 1 week is it a Loveland week, or is there going to be a number one guy? To me, I see more of a chance that Colston Loveland emerges as the number one guy in Chicago, that Caleb Williams, when in doubt, will go to convert key third downs, maybe in the red zone, look for him to get open. And where I still think Burden and Roma Dunze will contribute and still have their moments, I think Colston Loveland will separate himself as the guy for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me at all. My gut tells me it won't be like, it's not going to be something where like one of the three guys goes for 1,400 and then there's a dip to the next two. I think it's,
Right.
You're saying one tops 1K and 10 touchdowns. Maybe it's like whoever the number one guy is like 1,100. Then the number two is like 900, and then maybe like 700 for the third guy. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But to me, there's no limit to what Loveland can be, especially in this offense. So I like that one quite a bit.
All right, these are the 5.
If I had to pick one, I think weirdly enough, even though it's literally never happened, I actually do think the Caleb one's most likely. Like if he's healthy, I'd be shocked if he didn't reach 4,000. I really would. I think I would rank it from most to least likely. I would go Caleb 1. I would go Kobe Bryant 2, just based on, he's third year as a safety. I think he fits
5 interceptions feels doable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's like 9 or something like that. He's joining a team that creates a ton of turnovers. We'll see if there's a little regression there, but Al Harris has a track record. I think I would go Logan Jones 3. The last two are tough. I mean, I could see Xavion just becoming one of the best returners in the league, but it's still a rookie. We don't know if he's going to get if he's going to be the full-time returner at both spots. Part of that is like we don't know the role yet. I'd probably go Loveland 4, Thomas 5. And the Loveland 1 I think is possible, but to do both, that'd be like I said, that's probably an all-pro if he pulls that off. So
I think he'll be in that discussion this year.
I think it's very possible. All right, there you have it. Cullen's bold predictions for the Chicago Bears. Like we did last year, I will have mine between training camp and week 1. I want to see how camp plays out and, if any maneuvers happen, so on and so forth. But let us know what you guys think, and we will see you guys next time. Hit that subscribe button.
There we go.
All right, do we have a bold prediction in the chat before we get out of here?
I saw some in the chat. Stevenson will prove he's the real CB2. We've got.
That'd be nice.
Bradbury will be better than what he was before last year.
Well, I think he's in a better situation given I think this offense, they run more outside zone than the Patriots did, so it kind of protects undersized centers, and he's in between two really good guards.
That is very true.
So that's where I'm kind of intrigued. Like if they feel like Logan Jones is far enough along, it's like, well, he's got 2 studs next to him. Like if he feels comfortable with the pre-snap stuff, I don't mind just getting him out there.
Don't hate it. We've got 3 players get over 1,000 receiving yards. I was mentioned a couple times. So both Rome, Luther, and Loveland.
It's very hard. It's rare in the NFL. I do think the Bears are one of a few teams that have kind of the infrastructure where it's not impossible. Because last year they had 4 guys in the 600s. Well, if you kind of just merge that into 3 guys.
Yeah.
Because I think between DJ, Burden, Loveland, and Luther, they were at like 2,600 yards combined.
Mm.
Well, if you merge that more into 3 guys and Caleb just, is better, I think it's possible. It's very unlikely. I think the Cardinals were the last team to do it. Didn't we look this up one time? I think it was Fitz, Bolden, and was it Steve Breston?
Breston.
I think it was.
I think it was Breston.
So it's rare, but
it's possible.
I think the Bears are uniquely built to do it because they don't have that so obvious number 1, but they have 3 good pass catchers. So, like, I could see a scenario. I think 2 is a lot more likely where, like, 2 get 1,000 and then maybe the third guy is like 700 or 800. But I could see it. I wouldn't be shocked. I've got a couple bold ones already
Brewing.
circling in my mind, but they'll have to wait for those.
They
They'll
will
have to wait for those.
I think, the Xavion one, I am banking on him winning the job over Khalif Raymond and anybody else who's competing for the return man job. To me, though, he's in kind of a unique situation where, like, yes, you obviously want to see what he can do on offense, and based on how he performs in training camp, maybe does he challenge for more snaps than what previously was thought of him whenever he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, he is like a prime candidate to just, hey, you know which opportunities we're 100% giving you?
Yeah.
Special teams.
Just, if he could change 3 or 4 games as a returner, like, you've earned your draft spot. Like,
Exactly.
like if he can do that, anything he gives on offense is kind of icing on the cake. I'm with, even if he's just a kick returner, with the new kickoff rules, like, he's going to get a lot of opportunities. And like I said, like, there were a handful that Duvernay were like, golly. Like, even the one against Minnesota where he put them in range, like, if he had Thomas's speed, that's probably a touchdown. Like, he probably he probably doesn't run out of sideline real estate there. He probably beats the guy to the edge there and scores. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be disappointed if he wasn't at minimum the kick returner week 1. Because that means they just don't trust him yet.
I would agree.
I would say he's likely the kick returner, and then punt returner. I could see that being Raymond at first. That wouldn't shock me. But maybe it's one of those where it's Raymond, and then, by October they give it to Thomas or something. But could also depend on each of their roles in the offense. Like if Raymond is playing 30% of the offensive snaps, scale him back as a returner a little bit. So we'll see. We will see. But we are going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. I'm excited to be back. I wish we could fast forward about 2 weeks to training camp, but we'll continue to grind away for you guys as we get closer and closer. We'll probably get into some pre-training camp content next week. Start looking at some things to watch in camp. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to Cullen for producing as always, plus getting these predictions together. My name is Harrison Graham. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. We are out of here. Bear down.